So maybe you want to start your detailing business and you're like, man, you know what? It'd be really cool to have a shop. Or maybe your business is already going and now you're thinking about upgrading to a shop, maybe stop going mobile or perhaps go away from your home-based garage and go into an actual shop location. So in this video, I'll break down the cost on what it took us to get this 1,500 square foot shop and all the other costs associated to getting started and moving into this location. So we just actually installed this whiteboard, so I figured I'd use it. You can't read the writing, but first and foremost, we need to clarify one thing, right? You getting a shop or a van, like upgrading a van or a truck, any big upgrade, right, is gonna come down to three things, right? Not, you can really lump these all into two, but whatever. Customers, revenue, and expenses. If you don't have customers and you're not making money, you don't need to add expenses. Okay, so if you don't have customers and you're not making money, meaning it's like wishful thinking, like, oh, it'd be cool to get a shop. Oh, I want to get a shop. Oh, it'd be really awesome to get a shop, but you're not actually making money. Don't even worry about getting a shop. If you're not making the money you need to justify a shop or justify the purchase of a van or a truck, do not get it, because you first have to get this part first. Actually making money and actually servicing customers, that should be the number one priority. If you have enough customers, if you have enough revenue, then it makes sense to get the shop. If it'll actually help you service more customers or help you to do more high ticket service, like whatever the case may be. But you cannot just be like, man, I want to start this business, let me go get a shop. No, take that thinking away, because it will not work out in your favor. All right, so every shop you look at and who you talk to will be different, right? One shop will require X deposit. This will be the length of lease. This will be the rent, the square footage, office versus warehouse. There will be many variables. So each location, even in the same area, you will see different rates depending who you're talking to, the cost of size and all that jazz. So first and foremost, we're in Texas, we're in Houston, we're a very business friendly state. So if you're like in California, if you're in New York, like those are gonna be completely different, I would assume, versus what we do here. Like getting the process all together, like getting into the shop was a fairly easy process. The only thing on my end that I had to provide was the company's EIN, which we have it through an LLC, right? And then like my social security. Like that was basically all that was required. They didn't need a look at your finances. They didn't need like 6 months of like, they didn't require any like verification of like payment, which is kind of weird, because I'm like, dang, so anyone can really pull up here and just act like they have money, right? So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Even at, when I got my apartment, there was more of a process to check my background versus this. But this goes to show like how business friendly Texas is with their requirements. So all I needed was my EIN and social security, I believe, and they ran a background check and all that jazz. But they didn't do any like financial audit or like audited my financials or saw the company's, like they didn't check any of that. Again, it will be different where you are. So the main requirement to get the shop was that you would put down a deposit. Now the deposit here was first month's rent and the equivalent of first month's rent. So our rent is, I believe, our rent is $16.50 per month. And they required the first month's rent and a safety deposit equivalent to first month's rent. So if we multiply that real quick, because I suck at math, this is $3,330. So 3,300. So for us just to sign the lease, to put it under our name, we had to put a deposit down of $3,300, because it's first month's rent and safety deposit or whatever it's called for equivalent of the first month's rent. Now this could be different. It's gonna be different for everyone. Now typically, and I talked to other locations where it was a 1-year lease, but typically speaking, your lease is gonna be either 3 or a 5-year lease. That is typically what it runs around here. Generally speaking, from everything that I researched, it was 3 to 5 years. Now, I did talk to other locations where they did say, hey, we could do a 1 year if you want. We could do a 1-year lease. Now, the shorter the lease, the higher your monthly rent will be. Meaning, if I were to do this, let's say, again, it's all gonna come down to negotiating with whoever you're talking to, right? Because when I was talking to one gentleman, he was, let's say it was like $1,700 for a 3-year lease. But if I were to do it for a 1-year lease, meaning I will be gone in 12 months, then the monthly rent would be like $1,950. And you have to think about it on their side, because if you only sign a 1-year lease, that means they're already looking for another tenant now, because they don't know if you're gonna sign that lease again. So if you get a shorter contract, you'll end up paying a higher monthly rent. Typically speaking, again, I'm gonna keep on referring to that. Typically speaking, it's gonna be different from person to person, location to location. So the general census, or like the kind of what everyone knows, is a 3 to 5 year lease. So our lease is a 3-year lease. Now, I'll make more videos on this, but it's very important to understand what all that entails in terms of like the next unit that we have. So this unit here is 1,500 square feet. The next unit over is 3,200 square feet. So like I before I signed the lease, I asked them, hey, if I want to upgrade to a different lease, can we just cut this contract and you swap me over to the next one, or how would we work it out? And we went through different scenarios to see like what would happen, how would it play out if we either want to switch over to the next location or keep both locations. Like what kind of contract or deal can we work out that kind of makes sense. So you want to know all these terms before you think about signing any type of lease. So before we even got the key, right, it was just here's the deposit, like I'm the one, I want to take ownership, or I want to rent this one out. It was $3,300. Now, so now moving forward every month, the rent is $1,650. Okay. The electricity, again, that's going to be super dependent on who you go with, your market rate, and then how much power you actually use. So we've only been here for like 2-ish months. So let's say this, honestly, I don't have like real hardcore data, but let's say like for like, let's say you're going to go between like 150 to like 350, because it really depends on like, do you have a washer in here? Are you running like, this is going to differ quite a bit. So let's say 150 to 350. Next, with Wi-Fi, this one was actually a cost that I didn't know was going to be that high, because this is a new location. Like, this is a brand new location that they didn't have all the wires hooked up and the cables hooked up to support Wi-Fi, and because it's a new business, like, so we have this under a business account, like it's like business Wi-Fi. So I actually had to put a deposit down. No, I'm sorry. I think I put I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. I put a deposit down. I don't know why. Because I was a new business, I had to put a deposit down for electricity, for the power, of, I want to say, $550 of a deposit down for the electricity. The Wi-Fi, that one, I mean, that's going to be like, I think it's like $90 a month. And this is just a one-time fee. Well, not fee, but it was a deposit. So the monthly, it's actually this. Now the last thing was general liability. That's what they need. The property needs to be in this location. That's like one of the requirements, but it's like a soft requirement, because this here, you can get this like online quickly for like $35 a month. So these are the main hard costs. Now the water, for us, the water is included in rent already. I don't know if you can see that, but water is included in the rent already. Now, if you've seen my stories on Instagram, which you should follow me, is that the thing that I just completely flew over my head was asking if every unit is gonna have their own water spigot. It went over my head. I didn't think about it. I didn't put a scenario in my head of what we would do with water. And there's only 4 spigots on this entire premise, and it's one at each end of the units. So there's only 4 in total, which means we don't have our own spigot. So I did not ask, like, hey, so I don't know how they would feel. Well, you would ask, but I'm saying, like, when I first realized, oh, we don't have our own spigot, I wonder how they're gonna, like, are they gonna be okay with us using 500 gallons of water every month, right? Because we fill up our water tank. Like, is that gonna be acceptable? Because 500 gallons is not like a little, that's not a little blip on the radar of the water usage. Like, that's gonna be like, oh, who's using 500 gallons of water every month, So these were, I guess you can consider, like, the hard cost of what we went through to get the shop. Now this includes nothing of anything else as far as like getting the tools, the products, the shelves, the storage, the desk, the office. Like, this includes nothing. So all in all, after the first month, because it literally took us almost a month and a half to get Wi-Fi. Like, it took them that long to get Wi-Fi up and running. Like, it was very, very, very frustrating to wait that long for Wi-Fi, because I literally had the shop, we had everything set, but we didn't have Wi-Fi for about a month actually. That means, like, I couldn't get on the laptop. I could not work from the office for a month because we didn't have Wi-Fi. So all in all, like, to get everything set up, to say, like, okay, like, we are fully operational in the sense of, like, we have all this like running, the total is $5,785. Now this is including the deposit and the next month's rent. So not like, let's say we moved in what's this month? April. Let's say we moved in March, April. When did we move in? Let's say we moved in March. I'm considering the actual first month's rent. So not what's included in the deposit, but the actual for like the next first month's rent. So I'm including that too because it took that long to get the Wi-Fi. So I'll include it here. So all this together plus the first month's rent, we're looking at $5,785. If we were to subtract that the first month's rent, that's not including the deposit, then that would put me at $4,135 to get into the shop. So whichever way you want to look at it, 5,785 or 4,135. And let me clarify that. Let's say I put in the deposit for the shop on, let's say like February 20th, right? Is when I put the deposit down. Right? I didn't get the keys because they're still building it out. So like everyone that's in these units are the first tenants. Like this building was finished like the first January 2021. So everyone here is brand new. All units are brand new. So they still have to finish building it out. So I put the deposit down on February 20th and I didn't get the keys until, let's say, the 12th of March. Something like that. No, I want to say, I'm sorry, January 20th, I put the deposit down. I didn't get the keys. Yeah, I didn't get the keys until March 12th. So it was about a month and a half wait because they were still building it out. So that most likely, again, depends on you. Like if it's already a unit up and running and you just sign a lease, you'll get the keys right then and there and you'll start moving in and doing all that stuff. But for us, there was actually a little bit of a waiting time, about a month and a half, because they were building it out and getting inspections and doing all that fun stuff. Well, not fun, but you get it. And I just want to remind you one more time that every location will be different. With the pricing that we have, the rates, the size, what's included in the shop will be different than what you're looking at. If there's a drain, septic tank, if you can wash cars, price per square footage, the taxes, what you pay, what's included, what's not included, if you can bring, everything will be different every single time. So you have to make sure that you go in there with your due diligence. But I'm telling you, if that $5,000 number scares you, you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Yeah, then go focus on growing your business. Do not think about getting a shop or upgrading a van or upgrading a truck or doing anything if you do not have customers and revenue. Once you get those down, everything else becomes easier. But do not think like, hey, if I get a shop, I'll definitely be able to get more customers. No, don't have that backwards thinking. Get customers, make money, make enough, then go get a shop. So don't give me any of that talk of like, you know what, I feel like I can get more customers if I had a shop. Man, I could really, no, if you think you can, go do it right now, make money. So there will be a point where you will have to make that decision of like, okay, you know, I'm not able to do as many customers, or if I had more space, I could, you know, wait, that vehicle could be waiting for me right there and I could be working on the other one. So there does come a point where like you have to justify the price, and it's always gonna hurt to spend that much. Like it's always gonna hurt. So you have to like balance it out. But I would say if you're not making, like, you know right now if you need a shop. Most of you don't. Like, how long have I been in business? How long have we been working mobile until now that we actually got a shop? Like, I really want to drill that thought home. Like, you don't need one because you probably don't have enough customers or money. Work on your business, grow your business, make money, and then it's much easier to get a shop. I was out mobile for 7 years before I even thought about getting a shop. So hopefully that tells you something. Let me know in the comment section down below what questions you have. I'll make more videos on this topic, but I need to know what you want to hear from me. So if, you know, I'm not going to reply to your comments, or at least not all of them. But if you shoot me a DM, you leave me a comment, you send me an email about questions about a shop or whatever, like, I will eventually make a video on it or a podcast episode because people are asking. So let me know what you want to hear about the shop or what you need or whatever, and I will make some content around it. Talk to you guys on the next one.